much. We're going to have a little fun tonight. We're going to talk about some terrible things, but we'll have fun anyway. Not a lot of good things happening, if you want to know the truth. But it's going to be an interesting evening. What a tremendous crowd. And I know they have a lot of people outside couldn't get in, so I congratulate you for being good at real estate. So I came over today, and I'm reading the newspapers, and what have I been talking about for years? China devaluing their currency. So they did it again to us today, folks. They're taking your jobs, they're taking your money, they're taking everything. And by the way, we owe them $1.4 trillion. How do you do that? That's like a magic act. We owe China $1.4 trillion. And I love China. Nothing wrong with China. Their leaders are so much smarter than ours. Mexico's leaders are so much smarter than ours. They laugh at our people. They tell me, because I have, as an example, with China, they buy my apartments. They spend $50 million, $40 million, $30 million, $15 million, they're the cheap ones. When I sell a $15 million apartment, it's like, China pays so much money to Trump. I have the largest bank in the world from China. They're my tenant. I don't have to worry about the rent, believe me. Many, many, many times you take our biggest bank, Citibank, take J.P. Morgan Chase, many, many times the size. And you know what? It's amazing. People tell me, they come over, they give me a lot of money, and then we talk. Now, they didn't know I'd be running for president, otherwise they wouldn't have talked so much. It's true. And they say, we can't believe we get away with it. People from Mexico, I love the Mexican people. They have tremendous spirit, amazing spirit. They have amazing spirit. They're great. No, they're great. And I was just telling the press, there was a poll in Nevada that was just done. I'm leading in the Hispanic vote. And I'm going to win the Hispanic vote. It's true. I'm also leading in the regular vote, like 32%. But when you look at what's happening, whether it's Mexico or China or Japan or Vietnam, which is doing unbelievable business right now, their leaders are so smart and so sharp and so much more cunning. And I use the word cunning a lot because the word cunning is very important. They know what they're doing. And we have people, they're babies. We have Carolyn Kennedy in Japan. I saw it on 60 Minutes. They said, how did you get the job? Well, I went to the White House. I mean, this is pretty much the way it is. I went to the White House, and I was looking for a job. And I said, do you think I could do something for the administration? And they said, oh, how would you like to be ambassador to Japan? And she said, really? Wow. Are you serious? This is what we have. So here's what I did. I called Carl Icahn last week. Great guy. Killer. We don't care. Do we care that he's a killer? Does anybody mind? He's a tough cookie. But he's a friend of mine. I said, Carl, if I make it, and we're leading in every poll, which is really amazing. You know, it's been a very exciting couple of weeks. I said, Carl, you know, he's made a fortune. He's a great negotiator, talented guy, very smart guy. Went to Princeton, one of the top students at Princeton. A lot of people don't know that about Carl. And there are other people like Carl that are brilliant people and great negotiators. They don't sleep at night. Like me, we toss and turn and toss and turn. We're thinking, always thinking, ay, ay, ay. It's not easy on the family. But we're tossing and turning and scheming. That's what they are. There's no 18 hours of sleep. Does that make sense? So I said, hey, Carl. In fact, now the press will call Carl, I'm sure. But Carl Icahn, great. I said, Carl, if I get this thing, I want to put you in charge of China and Japan. Can you handle both of them? Okay? China and Japan. He said, yeah, I'll do it. I want to do it. You know what? Just relax. Everything will work out fine. We'll make great deals. Right now with China, I have a friend. He's a great manufacturer. He can't get his product into China. Can't get it in. They devalue today the biggest devaluation in 2 decades. 2 decades. Now, you know what devalue means, right? Devalue means suck the blood out of the United States. That's what devalue means, okay? Our companies won't be able to compete. They can't compete now. And what happens is they send their product over, no tax, no nothing. And I don't want tax. I want free trade. The problem with free trade, it only works when you have really smart leaders. When you have leaders that are incompetent, oh, is it a disaster? It's a disaster. So China sends its stuff over. It dumps everything. Whatever they make, we'll take it. With us, we can't get our product over there. When Boeing goes over there, they want the technology before they buy the planes because they're opening up their own factories to produce aircraft. They want Boeing, and I said, I don't think Boeing should do it. But when you think about it, it doesn't matter because even if they didn't, they'll take it anyway and build anyway. So what difference does it make? Okay? They're smart. They're sharp. And we're not. Our leaders aren't. So my friend is a great manufacturer, and he wants to send things to China. And he comes up and sort of depressed. I said, you're not a depressed person. What's wrong? He said, I can't get my product into China. And now that it's close, they want to charge me, they call it a tariff because it sounds better than tax, you know, a little more sophisticated, right? They want a tariff of like 42%. I said, does anybody know this? And you know, when we send trucks over there, I've heard, and you people know a lot about trucks, but I hear they charge a big tariff to take the trucks. We charge nothing. We charge nothing. Now Japan, think of it. They send boatloads. I was in Los Angeles 2 weeks ago. I saw the biggest ships I've ever seen with cars. I don't know, must be thousands. I never saw so many cars. This massive ship, cars all over, being unloaded. We send them what? Beef. Wheat. We give them wheat. They don't want our product because their farmers don't want it. So it's about 19%, 18%. They send over. We do about 18%. And ours is perishable. A car really isn't. You know, car is a car. I mean, that's good stuff, right? So what happens is, I would say, you know, until it evens out, like bring your stuff down about 80%. I want to be even. The deficits we have with these countries are incredible. They're incredible. The deficits are incredible. The deficit with China is mind-boggling. We had a GDP first quarter where we went down. In other words, we're a country with more people pouring in, many of whom are illegal, by the way. And if it weren't for me, the words illegal immigrant wouldn't be spoken right now. I really believe that. I really believe it. It's so incredible. And then you have the killing of Kate in San Francisco. Beautiful Kate. And it's like, just happens. This guy came in 5 times, and the 5th time was a disaster for a family, a great family, a family that I've gotten to know a little bit, and a family that I've spoken to on numerous occasions, and a family that I don't think the president has yet called, which is incredible. He hasn't called. Think of it. He hasn't called. But it's a great family, and she was an amazing woman. And then we have Jamil, beautiful Jamil, a young man shot down almost in front of his father, who's going to the deli. Good student, great football player, maybe going to Stanford, the apple of his father's eye, who was a great guy. We had a news conference together. The father is like this incredible guy. Loved his son more than anything in the world. More than anything. And his son came back from the deli, and he called the father. He used to call him Old Man. Old Man, I'll be there in 3 minutes. From the deli. This beautiful kid. And an illegal immigrant took a gun, put it up to him, shot him, and then shot him a couple of times when he was laying on the ground with his hands like this. Right through his hands, he shot him. And we have sanctuary cities, and we have all sorts of methods, and it's so incredible. I've gotten to know so many families through what I'm doing. I've gotten to know so many families that are devastated, that will never be the same. You can never be the same. And so you look at that, and what we do, and what we have in terms of our leadership. And believe me, other countries are sending over people that they don't want. They don't want to use their prisons. They don't want to use it. They say, why should we use our prisons for many, many years to house really bad people when the United States will do it? The problem is they come over, and by the time they get into our prison, lots of bad things happen. So we have to build a wall. The wall. Thank you. The wall will be big. It will be powerful. And by the way, I am all for legal immigration. That's what it's all about. I'm all for it. But it's got to be legal immigration. Got to be. All right? Got to be. So, you know, Jeb Bush, one of my opponents, I noticed he's not doing very well in the polls. I've actually noticed. Hey, look, remember this. Remember this. He's gone to my friends, many of my friends, and he's raised $114 million. And he may, you know, right now he's not doing well in the polls, right? Okay. So he may be doing very poorly in the polls, but he's got 114, even more than that, to spend. But just remember one thing. They'll make commercials. They'll be building him up like he's wonderful. Remember, coming in as an illegal is an act of love. Remember that line? An act of love. Tell that to some of the families, that it was an act of love. Tell them to some of the families that are devastated that that was an act of love. But he's got 114 million now, I guess, plus. And he's going to be spending money along with other people. You have Walker, who was supposed to have a surplus in Wisconsin, and now they have a $2.2 billion deficit. And he's a nice guy. I supported him. I support all of these guys. You know, I support everybody. The heck, I'm a businessman. I support everybody. They ask me for support. I support them. And you know what? If I call them in 2 years, 3 years, hey, I need some help, they're there. Okay, that's the way. But that's not really a good system. That's not good for a country. Because a lot of times the people that support these people, they need things that are adverse to the best interests of the United States. It's a problem. And nobody knows the system better than I do. I mean, look, I was on the other side. I'm telling you, 2 months ago, I started this, think of it, 2 months ago. And the media, look at all those people back there. Scavengers. They're like scavengers. They're like scavengers. So many. Hello. No, I see a couple that I really like. There are some that I really like. But the media doesn't tell it like it is. The media just doesn't tell it like it is. You know, I tell... This is a hell of a crowd. It's very interesting. I have a little expression that I use so often because I believe it's true. And it's a sad thing. But I say it and then I give a very big ray of hope, because if I'm elected president, this is what's going to happen. But I start off by saying, the American dream is dead, but I'm going to make it bigger and better and stronger than ever before. Okay? I say that. I say that. So I say it, and I say it a lot. The American dream is dead, I'm going to make it bigger and better. It's like supposed to be a positive thing. So the American dream is dead, which we know very much it is. But I'm going to make it bigger and better, stronger than ever before. Right? So I go home and I see my wife. And she says, Melania, she'll make a very beautiful first lady, I can tell you. And a great first lady. She's got a great heart. Great heart. She cares more about those women issues that Bush doesn't care about. She cares more about that. Between Melania and Ivanka, believe me. So I go home and my wife is saying to me, darling, that was a rough statement you made tonight. It's on the national news. I said, what? I thought I did great. I got a standing ovation. The crowd was packed. What are you talking about? You said the American dream is dead. I said, what? The American dream is dead. Oh, I said, let me see it. So we replay it. You know, you have these things like TiVo and things. It's really great today. You can replay from 10 years ago. It's unbelievable. So here I am, I'm standing, and I'm saying, the American dream is dead. Cut. Off to the next story. I say, that's terrible. It's terrible. No, it's dishonest. Okay, it's very dishonest. It's true. It's very dishonest. Oh, could I tell you stories about the media? You know, I've always found the financial, because with financial it's a little bit easier to figure, but I've always found the financial media to be pretty good. You know, you have some guys there too, but pretty good. But the political media and the coverage, wow, it's tough. And I tell it to people because I want you to know a lot of times what you're reading isn't just not the truth. It's just not the truth. Now, the biggest problem with my saying that, you know, is that they will now go and report that Trump made a terrible speech, very unenthusiastic crowd. The place wasn't packed, and there aren't 1,000 people outside trying to get in. But who can blame them? Hey, I'd probably do the same thing if I heard this. So you look at what's going on at the border, where Mexico is absolutely, just absolutely destroying us at the border, and others. And by the way, it's not just Mexico. They're coming from all over the world, people. They're going through the border. But they're coming from all over the world. They're coming from the Middle East, folks. I hate to tell you. They're coming from the Middle East. But Mexico is also brilliantly killing us on trade. Mexico is the new China. Mexico is taking plants, and for cars, it's going to be, I mean, you can forget Detroit, what it used to be. This is going to make Detroit look like small potatoes in its prime, because they're taking our factories and they're rebuilding these massive plants in Mexico. So in Tennessee, they were going to build a plant. It was a done deal, big German car company, practically a done deal. At the last moment, they decided that they're going to build it in Mexico. Watch. You know how? Like here. Believe me. So let me just tell you. Now we have a great company, Ford. Great company or good company? What do you think? Good company, right? I like it. I don't blame them. I don't blame them. And it's very appropriate because I'm making this speech. I've told this story. People hate this story, but they love it because it really explains it. But they hate the story. It's very depressing. So Ford is building a $2.5 billion plant, right? In Mexico. They're building it in Mexico. So you say, now, How is that good for us? So I said to myself, right? No good. We don't have to be business geniuses to figure, well, they're building a plant. They're going to make, it's a massive plant, one of the biggest in the world. They're going to make all these cars, trucks, and parts. They're even making parts. It's so big, they'll make the parts, the trucks. And I actually gave them a good idea. Why don't we just let the illegals drive the cars and trucks right in through the border? They don't have to even, it's true. No, I gave them that. Save a lot of money. That'll be next. No, they'll be doing that next. So they're building this massive plant, and I said to myself, okay, let's say that Jeb Bush or Hillary or one of these politicians, all talk, no action, all controlled by lobbyists and special interests and donors, people like me from previous months, okay? Total control. Bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bing. You know what that is, right? So I said, let's say that Jeb Bush is president. Now, he's not a stupid person. I agree with you, but you know, he was so nice to me at the debate. And by the way, they said I won the debate. Is that nice? Is that nice? Right? The polls came out and said I won. And boy, did I have nasty questions. I stood up there and said, I don't believe this. Some of those questions. Actually, Rosie O'Donnell saved me. This is one time she saved me. I never thought I'd be giving credit to Rosie, but in this case, she was great. But I look at what's going on, and I say, supposing Jeb is president. Now, he knows it's not a good thing to have a $2.5 billion plant over there, and plants from Michigan and all over the place are just going to go, boom, let's close them up, boom, we're going over to Mexico, right? No tax, no nothing. Cars get made, no tax. So I said, what would Jeb Bush do? He'd probably say, that's not a good thing. And if he ever said it strongly, which he wouldn't because there's no energy there, no energy. We need energy. We need tone. You know, tone. We need tone. It's true. Jeb and Hillary, on the same day, they said Donald Trump has too strong a tone. Too strong. We have heads being chopped off because they're Christian in the Middle East. We have borders where people are being killed all of. The world is cracking up, and they're worried about my tone. I should be toned down. Sad. So sad. It was an amazing thing because he mentioned it and she mentioned it the same day. And I say, they're so wrong. I don't like their tone. There's not enough energy. There's not enough enthusiasm. There's not anything. It's just like, bleh. So I said, what would Jeb do? And Hillary, and by the way, all the politicians, just let's use one as an example, okay? All of them, because they're all controlled, 100%. So he'll say, I don't really want to let the plant be there. I want it built in the United States. We say, oh, we have a great president. But then what happens? He gets a call from one of his fundraisers, and they say, Jeb, you can't do that. You had Ford make contributions to you. You had other people make contributions to you, and they want it to happen. You have made special interests. You had special interests. You have your biggest lobbyist represents Ford. He gave you $1 million. You can't possibly do that after he raised all that money for you. And you know what he's going to say? Then go back to sleep, okay? No, that's what he's going to do. And the plant gets built. Believe me, 100% that plant gets built. 100%. All right? So now let's say it's President Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Okay. Enough about me. Let's talk about you. Okay, so what's President Trump going to do, right? Well, I don't have anybody giving me money. I don't need anybody's money. You know. Hey, they all said I'd never run. Then they said I'd never file my big form. Then they said I'd never file my financials. And I wouldn't because maybe he's not as rich as people. They turned out I'm much richer than people ever thought. I wanted to file my financials. I loved it. I wanted to file them. It's one of the reasons I'm running. I wanted to file my financials because now everybody's talking. He's really rich. But they said all these things. So what would President Trump do? So I don't have money. I don't have lobbyists. In fact, I've had in the last 2 weeks, because I've hired many of the lobbyists. That's true. I hire lobbyists. They're great. They're terrific people. They can do whatever the hell you want them to do, okay? It's true. So I've had a lot of them. They've called me. They said, we want to contribute. It's amazing when you go to number 1 how these guys want to give you money. You know, if you're at number 12, I guarantee Rick Perry is not getting a lot of calls from lobbyists right now. And neither is Lindsey Graham. The two guys that hit me the hardest were Perry, right? Perry and Graham. They hit me harder than anybody else. Now it's Rand Paul. Can you believe it? He's the new one. I said, Rand, I've had you up to here. I've had you. I've had you up to here. No, Rand Paul the other day, I mean, I said, where the hell did this guy come from all of a sudden? But you know what's a great honor? They hit me really hard, right? And they went down. Lindsey Graham is at 0. Legitimately, I saw it on television. 0. 0. That means out of hundreds of thousands of people, he didn't get 1 vote. And the other one, Perry, is at 2%. And he was at 5 when he started going after me. So something happened. So what would President Trump do? Here's what happens. I'll say, I don't like this deal. It's no good for our country. No good for our country. And I'm going to say I'm not going to approve the deal. I'm not going to let it happen. I don't care. I will do everything I can. And by the way, I don't need Carl Icahn for this. I don't need Henry Kravis. I don't need any of our great guys. I don't need anybody. This is too easy. What do I want to waste their time? This is too easy. So what happens is I say, the deal is not going to be approved. I'm not going to allow it to happen. I want that plant to be built in the United States, preferably here. I mean, in all fairness, right? And here's what's going to happen. They're going to call me. Not going to be any good. They didn't give me any money. They didn't take care of me. I don't need it. I don't want it. I couldn't care less. And I'll get a call from the head of Ford. Nice guy, very capable guy, as you know. The new head, the old head was great. The new head is great. Great people. He's going to say, Mr. President, we have to get this done. Blah, blah, blah. It's really good for trade. Yeah, good for trade. You know who's trade? Their trade, not our trade. And I'm going to say, no, I'm sorry. Then I'm going to get a call from some lobbyists. I say, you didn't do anything for me, and I'm not doing anything. I only care about one thing, making America great again. That's all I care about. Okay? That's all I care about. So my only question, I only have one question, is do they move the plant in the United States the same day, or will it take maybe a day later? Because that's what's going to happen. It's not even a doubt. Okay? And we'll end up with a plant in the United States, and we'll create jobs, and that's what we have to do. Because we're just losing so many ways. We don't have victories anymore. We just don't have victories anymore. So let's look at another thing. Let's look at this horrendous deal that we're making with Iran. Now think of it. Think of it. So here's a problem before we even start. Even if the deal doesn't get approved, and believe me, I think it probably will. I think Schumer, who I'm very close to Israel, but Schumer comes from New York, very close. I have a great relationship, far better than our president has, that I can tell you. But who doesn't? I think Schumer did it with a wink. Not a bad guy, smart guy. Used to be a friend of mine until I did this, and I said, look, all bets are off. Look, I got to do what I have to do. I'm sorry. But I'll be able to get along with these people. You know, you got to be able to get along. You got to make deals. We can't always sign executive orders. The country wasn't based on executive orders. I mean, you got to get deals. So I pretty much believe, I mean, I really know the New York City. I think they gave Schumer a little wave off. They said, look, you go ahead, oppose it, and this way you're friendly. And he has a large Jewish constituency, to put it mildly, the largest. And They said, look, you go ahead, go against it. We're going to win by, one vote or something anyway. And this way you can have either that or they're going to really take away all his power, one or the other. But I think it's the first. I think he probably got a pass, and I think that's the way politics works, and it's not so nice, but that's the way it works. But you take a look at this Iran deal, and this deal is one of the more incompetent things that I've ever seen. It's going to lead to nuclear proliferation. You're going to have countries that weren't even thinking in terms of nuclear are going to go nuclear. You're going to have money thrown around, and they have plenty of money in plenty of these countries, believe me, big, big money. You're going to have nukes all over the place where you never thought. This whole thing with, there are a couple of things. Number one, here's bad. And I heard this the other day, and I couldn't believe it. The $150 billion and the billions and billions of dollars that go to Iran. If the deal doesn't get approved, they still get the money. You ever hear this? You ever hear? They still get the money. Okay? Think of how bad this deal is. We gave up everything. For what? We should have doubled and tripled up the sanctions and negotiated a real deal. Now, the 24-day catastrophe, right? 24 days. What people don't realize, before the clock starts ticking, you have to go through a whole process, like a mediation. It could be forever. It could be forever. And I could just see they're doing nukes all over the place. They get the notice. They fight them here, keep fighting. Then the 24-day. By the time you get in there, you have a nice, beautiful space like this, except the floors will be painted nicer. Battleship gray. Beautiful. There's no nukes in here. Battleship. You know what I mean? When I was little, I used to always paint my garage floors battleship gray for my father. Battleship gray. They'll be beautiful, nice, shiny battleship gray. It's so crazy. And one of the things that nobody understands, and especially me, I wrote The Art of the Deal. Has anybody read The Art of the Deal? So, one of the things I don't understand, we have 4 prisoners over there. Used to be 3, now it's 4. Actually, when this long negotiation started, it was 3. Since the negotiation, this is the longest negotiation. Did you ever see a negotiation last so long? Right? Oh, he's got The Art of the Deal. Hold that book up, please. Okay. One of the great books. That's my second favorite book of all time. Do you know what my first is? The Bible. Nothing beats the Bible. Nothing beats the Bible. Not even The Art of the Deal. Not even close, okay? But you say to yourself, how do we have these 4 people, was 3, now 4? How do we have it? So at the beginning of this negotiation, first of all, you got to increase the sanctions. Then they say, oh, the other countries wouldn't do it. Well, it's called leadership. You got to get them to do it because this deal is crazy. And those other countries are very much, they need us for lots of things. We have a lot of strength with those other countries. But, when you get them and they say no, who wants this deal? This deal is a disaster. So what happens is you increase the sanctions and you let them know we're not ever giving you the money back. The money's never coming back. Okay, the money we're keeping, okay? We're keeping. And, people are saying, just like the wall in Mexico, these stiffs, these politicians, they're stiffs. You know what a stiff is? Stiff is a person, I've seen these wealthy people in the front row. You know what a stiff is? A stiff is a person you will not hire. That's what a stiff is, okay? And these stiffs, they say, isn't it horrible? Trump says about the wall. Or Trump says he won't give them the money. Isn't that ridiculous? And now they say, we didn't want to ask for the prisoners because they thought it would be too complicated and would complicate. Think of this. By saying, here's what you do. You walk in. By the way, shouldn't be at the end. Should have been before the deal started. The end is like sort of a stupid thing, right? So you walk in a couple of years ago, long time. I mean, it's forever. World's longest deal. And by the way, this is called tapping. Tap, tap, tap. The Persians are great negotiators. A lot of bad stuff has happened during this 2 years, believe me. A lot of things are being discovered over there, and it all has to do with nuclear. During the tap. I do that too with the deal. I don't know if I want it. Maybe I do. Maybe I don't. Tap, tap, tap. I tap these poor guys along. Then I say, the market's not so good. I'll do it. I won't do it. They're tapping us along. They're tapping us along. So now I say to myself, on the prisoners, fellas, and I mean, literally in 2 minutes, I would have had them out. I say, fellas, I would have had them out. I would have had him out. I mean, we have a guy named Kerry. I think he's actually probably a nice guy. He's 73 years old. He goes into a bicycle race, and he breaks his leg. I promise you that I will never enter a bicycle race during a major negotiation. So I would have said, let's say it's me instead. Probably would have gone and do this one myself. I'd say, come on over to Washington. Let me tell you something. You don't want them. You don't need them. Your people don't care about them. We do. It sets a good tone, to use a Bush term. It sets a good tone. Really nice. If you would give us the prisoners, before we start, we want to get the prisoners. Just let them out. Bum, bum, bum. Everyone's going to say you're really nice people. You'll be able to make a better deal if you let them out. Let them out, and let them out now. And if you don't let them out, we don't want to even negotiate. Because you know what that is? That's like a sign of bad faith, right? If you can't get that. So they would give it. I don't say as sure as Ford. I gave that 100%, right? I would say this 99%. But if they didn't give, we don't even start. And then we just ratchet it up, being more sanctions, right? That's right. I love that lady. She keeps holding up that art of the deal. I love her. But we just keep ratcheting it up. They will give them, and we'll make a much better deal than we made, and we'll have a real deal. And I love the idea of a deal, by the way, because nuclear is a whole different world. That's big, big problems. That's the biggest problem. The worst thing we have in this world that we're living in today is the tremendous power of nuclear and weaponry. Nobody ever had power like this before. You look at Hiroshima, that's a tiny fraction of what they can do today. So I'm all for that. But the worst thing that can happen is a bad deal. That's far worse than not having a deal. The worst thing we can do is a bad deal. And this deal is beyond bad. This deal is incompetent. It's incompetent. So I would get the prisoners back, and I would make a great deal. And you know what? They'd be happy. I'd be happy. We'd all be happy. We will be proud of our deals. One of the magazines said I've done a great job with branding. Of course, it's a lot easier when you're not running for office. This branding when you're running for office is a little tough, because if you get 55% of the people love you, 45% don't. That's pretty good. You win in like a massive majority, right? But they say I've done a good job with branding. And somebody said, boy, if you could do some branding for the United States, because we have a country where the brand has been so badly hurt. Think of it. The brand, this great country that we love. A friend of mine spent a lot of time in Czechoslovakia, which was a communist country. And see, a lot of people, Czechoslovakia. And they used to be so proud of the United States. And while that country was communist, people would take dollar bills and $10 bills, and they'd put them on the windshield of their car to show how proud they are, how much they respected the United States. I said, I never heard that story. He said, yeah, you'd go around all over these communist countries, and they were so enamored with the United States that they'd put money, bills, on the window with Scotch tape, and they'd put them on, and they were so proud to have it in their car. You don't have that anymore. We don't have that anymore. We have so many problems. Obamacare is a disaster. It has to be repealed and replaced. And we can have such a good system. Obamacare, do you see what's happening to your premiums? They're going through the roof. 50%, 55%. You look at what's going on with health insurance. You look at what's going on with everything. It's just not working. Our country isn't working. The good news is we have tremendous potential. But if we don't get going quickly, we're never going to be able to bring it back. It's going to be too far. One of the things we have to do, I'm in the real estate business. I'm always getting listings, a base is for sale, something's for sale, a military something is for sale. It's always military. I say, are we going to have anything left? Are we going to have anything left? Take a look at how many bases they've sold. one of the things we have to do is build up our military so strong and so powerful and so powerful that nobody's ever going to mess with us. We'll never have to use it. We'll never have to use it. And we can do that. We have the great technology. We have everything. But we're not doing it. We're cutting back on military, which is probably one of the worst things. You know, it's interesting. We would make it so powerful that, yes, it will cost money. But if we don't use it, we'll save a fortune because we won't have to. Putin, who I would get along with very well, I'll be honest with you. He can't stand Obama. Can't stand him. Can't stand him. I actually get along very well with people. People say, oh, is he a nice enough person? A woman comes up the other day, and I made a speech, and everybody was going crazy, and she got up and said, but Mr. Trump, do you think you're nice enough to be president? Are you a nice person? And I said, I think I am. I love people. I love charity. I love a lot of things. I think I am. But I said, but you know what, ma'am? I really think this is going to be an election. People are fed up. This is going to be an election on competence. It's competence. It's going to be an election based on competence. So I want to build that military so strong where Putin 2 months ago said something I never thought I'd hear from Russia, from a major country. He started throwing around the nuclear word. He said, essentially, they better not play around with us too much. We're a nuclear power. We have nuclear weapons. I couldn't believe I was hearing it. Just the mention of it was so bad. And our weapons, we don't even know if they work. To show you how stupid we are, they did a major television program, 60 Minutes, I don't know if anybody saw it, where they go into the silos. The stuff is old, it's rotted, the phone systems don't work, the wires going to the phones are all, they don't even know if it works. And I said, if I were Obama, I wouldn't be showing that. I wouldn't be showing it. I wouldn't be showing it. And they got in there because Obama wanted people to see how bad it is so that maybe they could get some money to fix it up. How stupid is this? Our enemies are looking at this stuff with 44-year-old phones and wires that don't work. And the people, they're interviewing the people that are working in these phone systems. And they're saying, no, you can't hear. You can't hear. And I'm saying, can you believe what we're doing? It's like in the war. They were saying, we're going in 2 weeks and we're going to be attacking a certain city. You know what I'm talking about. And we're going to attack, and this is the way we're doing it, and we're going here. And I'm saying, can you imagine the great General Douglas MacArthur or George Patton, any of these great guys, listening to a president say exactly what we're going to be doing? Then I said, you know, that's smart. Because they'll do the opposite. They didn't. It was exactly as he said. So, you know, with ISIS, can you believe we can't beat ISIS? No, can you believe it? So I didn't want to say, because I really think I'm going to win. I mean, you know, I'm an optimist. I think And by the way, if I do win, speaking of military, I'm going to take such great care of the vets. The vets in this country are absolutely, it's a disgrace. You know, 2 weeks ago on Wednesday, they had the longest wait in the history, recorded history of the vets waiting in doctor's office. And in one case, somebody waited for 5 days. 5 days. Think of it. Look, we're really spoiled. most of us. We go to a doctor. If I have to wait 12 minutes, I'm like incensed. I'm going, what kind of a doctor is this? And these are people that can be really helped through the right pill or the right medicine or a small operation. We're not even talking about the big stuff. They had to wait 5 days. In one case, a man waited 6 days to see the doctor. And when he finally saw the doctor said, I can't see you, I'm going on vacation. No, think of it. No, think of it, how bad it is. And this is our politicians, all talk, no action, politicians in Washington. Okay? They do nothing except talk. And the money we spend is incredible. It's like the money we spend on the vets is incredible. We can take such great care of them. I'm going to make that one of my priorities. The military, the vets, and jobs. And jobs. And believe me, I know how to do it. I know how to manage. I know how to manage. Because it's management. But we're going to take care of these people. We're going to take care of this country. This country is going to be great again. We are going to make this country so strong, so powerful. You're going to be so proud to be a citizen of the United States. So, just in closing, it's been an amazing ride for me, because everybody, all these pundits, most of them, like these guys, they make $500,000 to sit on television and make predictions. But they all said, that why would anybody want to vote for Trump? And I'm saying, well, what are you talking about? It's just like The Apprentice. When I did The Apprentice, everybody said, well, why would anybody want to watch The Apprentice? Women will never want to watch it because why would women want to watch Donald Trump? I'm saying, am I so bad? Tell me. And the show became one of the most successful shows. It became #1 for many, many evenings. The finale of season 1, season 2, season 3, one of the biggest shows of the year. Tremendous. Just like the debate, right? It's like The Apprentice. The debate was The Apprentice. Somebody said, oh, we'd rather not have Trump in the next debate. You know who it was? My competitors. I don't blame them. I said, you got one problem, the television networks. Because it's called ratings. But it's like The Apprentice. And then The Apprentice became this big success. And one of the critics said, well, that show won't work. And, it was just signed to a 1-year contract, and everyone figured it would fail. Well, it went on. It became this tremendous monster. And I was very proud of it. And I saved the reviews. I saved all of the stuff. It's the same thing now. And by the way, NBC, just so you understand, NBC hates me. I made them a fortune. But you know why they hate me? Because at the upfronts 4 months ago, they renewed The Apprentice. They gave it a big, beautiful renewal, 28 shows. I think it was 28, but a lot. That's a lot of money. Because in my documents, you saw that I put down how much money I make with The Apprentice. $213 million they paid me. Can you believe that? That's a hit. That means I'm a star. That's a star. So think of it. And nobody, but that's what I made. I mean, I have to certify these numbers, 213. So now they renew The Apprentice, and I said to them, the head people from NBC came up to my office, and the head people from Comcast, NBC, and the reason I tell you this, they're going to check every one of these statements, the press. And if I'm wrong on any, if they weren't up, there's going to be a headline tomorrow, the Comcast never came. By the way, the head person at Comcast, you got it? And the head person at it, they came up to my office like 3 months ago, and they said, we renewed The Apprentice. I got a call from Mark Burnett, who's a great guy, from Survivor, et cetera, and he's the guy, we did this thing together. He said, Donald, they renewed you. You're the only guy that isn't taking a renewal for a major primetime show. I say, Mark, I'm going to run for president, and I'm going to make our country great again. That's it. So, NBC is very angry at me, but here's the good news. I am really enjoying what I'm doing. I love meeting the people. I love meeting the vets. I love meeting the military. I've been meeting people that I would have never met before. I love people. I love this country. We are going to make it so strong and so powerful and so respected all over the world. We're going to bring our jobs back. We're going to bring our money back. We're going to save Social Security. You are going to love President Trump. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate it.